here's the FZ6 2007 model. I figured I'd just make a video in my garage because I hit 40,000 miles on this thing today, which is a pretty cool milestone. It's not often that you hit a 10,000 mile increment. I've only done it 3 times or 4 times. I hit because I bought this bike with about 8,700 miles, so 7 years ago. 40000, and about 100. Still got about probably 30 miles I could go on this tank of gas, so 175 miles per fill of the tank. But again, guys, if there's any, the whole point of this is if you see a bike with higher miles or you're worried about them not being reliable, I've basically had no problems with this bike, again, other than just basic stuff, changing your tires, lubing your chain, changing your oil, all just kind of preventative stuff. And it's never really left me stranded or anything. So I did have to change the battery, I think just once actually. That battery is about 3 years old in there, and it's never failed, and I don't really leave it on a tender. I do have my LT on a tender because when something goes wrong with this, it's not easy to fix. There's just so much stuff on this thing, but this bike actually has more miles than that bike. So this is a 99 LT with 33K, and this is a 07 Fazer with 40,000 miles. So I just want to let that, maybe if anyone watches this, that kind of dispels the theory of, I'm worried about the bike has too many miles, I don't want to buy it. If you can get a good deal on it and it looks to be like kind of unmolested, pretty clean, this bike looked, honestly, it looked a little bit better maybe 7 years ago, but it still looks about 90% as good as it did 7 years ago. Obviously the engine's black and everything's kind of blacked out, so it's maybe harder to tell if there's blemishes, but it still looks good. It still cleans up nice, and I paid $2,800 for it. So when the bike was 5 or 6 years old, it had less than 10,000 miles. I got it for $2,800, and it's probably still worth $2,000 even with the high mileage. So if you think about how cheap that is to own, really I'm only just paying for gas. You had to pay to get the bike, but you could still sell it for $2,000 if you wanted to, which I probably won't ever sell this bike. I figured it would probably take me about another 10 years to get to 100,000 miles, just because I have this bike, which I really like to do longer trips on because it's awesome. You can do 500 miles in a day on this bad boy really comfortably. Anything around town though, and even shorter trips across the state just to get a different riding experience, I take this bike out. I did about probably 8,000 or 9,000 miles on it this year because of COVID, and I did about 8,000 or 9,000 miles on my K1200 as well. Went down to California and Oregon, California, all on the 101 highway, so that was really fun. And but yeah, so a lot of people just wouldn't even give this bike a look because it has too high miles. But I know the bike. I've ridden it a lot. I know that I've maintained it. I've had basically no issues with it, and it's been really reliable. And so I don't see any reason why it would stop being like that. So that's just the point of the video. And again, the whole reason I like making these is because it's just a point in time where I can go back and remember what's going on. If you try to remember what happened 10 years ago in your life, you might be able to remember some stuff, but it's kind of cool to watch some videos and just see where you were and what you were doing, which is my whole point of doing it. And if other people watch it, that's cool too. So anyways, guys, ride safe. It's we only have about 8 hours of daylight here, but I try to get out there when it's decent enough weather, even here in the Pacific Northwest. All right, guys, ride safe and have a good night. Bye-bye.